In this video, I'll show you how to make an N8N automation that scrapes Reddit for posts that you want to reply to and then automatically posts your replies. It does not create the replies for you, because I discovered that in my case, it was not worth letting AI write my answers because they were wrong enough that it just made more. I can write an answer in a couple of seconds and it would take me a few minutes to edit an AI answer. So I wrote these answers, but everything else is done by the automation. It pulls in the title and the text of the post. It sets the status of the database record for that post to assess, telling me that I need to go take a look at it. I do this on a per brand basis because I'm doing this for more than one brand. When I answer a post and have the automation post it, it gives me a link to my answer so that I can go check it. And it gives me the link to the original post when it first populates the table so that I can read the original in case there's some context that I need to get. And it tells me which subreddit was involved in the transaction. This works through my dashboard where I associate the webhook for get Reddit posts and answer Reddit posts with this go button, and I send over the arguments that are over here on the right. So in the first row, the arguments are for the brand, the Carol report, and to scrape the subreddit N8N, and then the keywords that I want to search, the number of posts I want to get, and the sort on the scrape when it grabs those top posts. When I go to tell it to take the answers, that I call answer Reddit posts, and that just takes the brand. Everything else it grabs from the Reddit posts table. So it looks for all entries in this table where the status is post, and then along with the brand that it got from the tasks table, it knows that it needs to post these matching rows, these answers, to the subreddit. I guess I should have said the subreddit too. So it grabs the subreddit and it grabs the answer for everything that says post, and it grabs the brand, and then it puts those answers on Reddit for me automatically. When the get Reddit posts workflow gets called, it checks the input. It gets the record ID of the row that I clicked go, and then it grabs the data from that record, and then it validates the input. And if the input is valid, it closes the window that pops up when you use an automation through a webhook. If the data that's sent over is invalid, then some information is posted to the opened browser window. And then it searches the posts according to the subreddit and sort and quantity that was specified on the row. Then it checks to see that there's at least some data in the text, and if not, that the title is pretty long, so that there's not just a short title and no text. And then it takes the posts that it scraped and puts them in the Reddit table, and then it updates the task dashboard to say that what time it was done. When I'm ready to post, it looks in the task table for the arguments on that line. So we're in tasks, and it says, okay, what brand are we posting for? Then it goes back over to Reddit posts, and it says, go get me everything that says post on it for the brand specified. And it goes into a loop for every record that we're requesting a post for. It checks, are you looking to go to this brand or this brand? Because the avatar of the person that's posting is associated with your API key. So if I'm As Well You Should, my wellness brand, then I'm Best Red Light Therapy. And if I am the Carol report, then I'm a software person, because both of those are true, but I don't want them being mixed. And then it goes and gets the answer, and it posts the Reddit ID, and it posts the answer at that Reddit ID, or my comment to that Reddit ID. Then it waits because I had some timeouts, or I had some overflows, and with Airtable. And then it goes back and gets the next answer, checks to see which brand it's for, posts that. And when it's out of answers, then it goes back to the task table and just puts a timestamp in the message field so that I know that it's done running. Let's look at what happens when we run it. Let's look at the code. So when it comes into the web key or the webhook, we've got this set to using respond to webhook node. What that means is that when the webhook calls this node, we're not going to respond right away. First, we're going to get the input from the row that called us, validate it, and that looks like this. So let's put our test URL back in our task table, and then we'll click execute workflow, and it's waiting for a trigger event. So the trigger event will now be go. And we got these headers, but most importantly, we got this record ID that tells us what to go search for. The way that works is that in the Go, there's a concatenation of the webhook, which is this column over here, and the task ID, which is this column on the left. So you have a URL of the N8N node with a question mark. We don't actually need this ampersand with a question mark, and then the record ID equals this value here. So we have a unique value that we can come back and look up this row. So I called from RECR9 and we got we called from RECLJ and we got RECLJ. So that is the get Reddit posts row. So now I can come back into an Airtable request and say, get me everything that is at the row that has a record ID of RECLJN, and it will come back and tell me that the brand is the Carol report, subreddit is N8N, and that at 10:43 we placed 5 items in the database. The keyword was what, quantity was 5, and the sort was hot. And we can see all of that over here on the right. Brand Carol report, sort hot, quantity 5, subreddit N8N. This was the previous message that had been there already, and keyword was what. Then we validate the input. So this is grabbing all of the data from the Airtable, and it's checking to see that brand, sort, quantity, task, and subreddit are all valid. First, if any of them are missing, then we add to our message missing input. If either of the brands is not one that we recognize, then we'll say we have an invalid brand. If the sort is either hot or new, then it's good, but if it's not, that's the exclamation point, then we have an invalid sort. If the quantity requested is not between 1 and 100, we have an error message. And if the subreddit length is less than 1, we have an invalid subreddit. So if this message comes back blank, an empty string, then we had no errors. But if it's got data in it, then we had an error. So we check to see what the length is of that message. And we also check to see that we actually got an ID, which I think is probably redundant given that the Airtable used it. So if that message has data in it, then a browser window opened when we clicked go, and we're going to output the message, brand, sort, quantity, etc., back to the user to show what went wrong. But if the data was good, then we run script window close, and we close that browser window. Then we create some constants. If I'm referring to any of my brands, I probably should have, I already did, so this actually should go back at the beginning because I referred to my brand in the validation. So this allows us to refer to these constants over here on the right. So rather than my typing as well you should, I just refer to a variable, a constant, and then I can't make typos. So I do that with words that I know I'm going to type, like N8N and red light therapy, and the sort command. So now we're going to search Reddit, and the resource is a post, the operation is search, the location is a subreddit, and then the arguments are what we got back from the Airtable request, which was the input variables. So that's going to be N8N. We're returning for just this search keyword. The limit is 5, and then I have additional fields where the sort is the sort value to lowercase because Reddit expects it to be lowercase. And that outputs 5 items, and here's the self-text for one of them and the title for one of them. Then we check in a filter to see if the self-text, which is the body of the post, if it's empty, it's only okay if it's empty if the title is greater than, that was brilliant. Okay, let's put that back. So if search posts self-text is not empty and the length of title is a numeric greater than 35, so 36 or more, then we'll let the item through. But if any of the posts don't meet those criteria, they'll get discarded and not move on to the next step. Then we're using an upsert to update the Reddit post table. We're using the ID, the record ID called Reddit ID of the current records to see if it already exists. If it does, it gets updated, and if it doesn't, it gets inserted. And we put the title, the text, a status of assess, the date that we put it there, the permalink of the post, the upvotes, the brand that we're searching for, the subreddit that we searched for, and the author of the post. And that gives us this set of data right here where add condition status is assess. And then here are the 5 posts that we added just now in the N8N as opposed to in the as well you should. The last thing we do is we set a limit to prevent our status from being updated 5 times. Another way to do that would have just been to go to settings and click execute once. So that is how you scrape Reddit for posts and store them in an Airtable. And in the next video, we'll create some answers and we'll post them automatically using N8N.